Let me share with you a couple of quick tips on sewing with materials other than fabric. I've got right here some vinyl and a piece of oilcloth, and both of these sew very similar on the machine. Because this has such a shiny finish on it, sometimes people will say, oh, it's sticking to my machine or it's sticking to the bottom of my foot. So I wanted to share with you a couple quick tips about that today. The first thing that I like to use is our Ultra Glide foot, and this foot is designed to have a non-stick finish on the back so it can glide very easily along the oilcloth and the vinyl when we're sewing. The other thing that I wanted to talk to you and remind you about is these types of materials, once you put a hole in them, the hole is there to stay. So if you are wanting to make a pouch or a tote bag and you need to pin or hold together your different layers when you're sewing, you will want to either use fabric clips to do that. So when you fold it up, you will want to clip those edges. That way we don't have a permanent hole in the vinyl. The other option is, if you don't have clips, you can use pins. But keep in mind with the pins that, again, if you put a hole in there, the hole is there to stay. So in this case, I'm going to turn this gold vinyl into a zippered pouch. And I know that I'll be sewing probably about 1/2 inch seams. That means when I go to sew my side, as long as I put my pin within a 1/2 inch of the edge, so right here, just really close to the edge when I pin it, I will have a hole in my vinyl, but it will be inside my seam, and I'll be able to not have that once I turn it right side out in that finished look. So keep those things in mind. The last tip that I wanted to share with you is about setting up your machine. The machine stitch, you can use pretty much any stitch on the machine. You will more than likely mainly be using a straight or a zigzag. And when you're using those stitches, you will want to lengthen the stitch out a little bit. So instead of maybe a 2.2 or a 2.5 or a 2.8 that you might normally use, you might want to bump that stitch length up to a 3 or a 3.5. And the reason for that is if we are sewing on the vinyl or the oilcloth too close together, where the machine needle punctures the material, it will actually create a perforated line that will tear more quickly. So if we lengthen those stitches out a little bit, we end up with an actual stitch that will hold it and not perforate it. So those are my tips for sewing with oilcloth and vinyl, and you can use those anytime you are sewing up a project with these fun materials.